You're listening to WIDR Kalamazoo. Woo, woo, woo. And this is Wombat Music taking you through the rabbit hole with Blood at Ease. And in the studio today we have Bailey and Brendan.
What's up, y'all?
Hello.
Thanks so much for joining me today, guys.
Heck yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
One of these people is my roommate, and one of which I've been listening to your music for quite some time, not only on the radio, which it plays on WIDR it's been playing for how long? When did the album release?
The album came out in September of last year. So yeah, a little over a year now.
Nice. We missed the anniversary.
We did, yeah.
Oh, man. Missed opportunity. Well, it's just great having you here now. So, all right, Bailey, can you tell us, what do you bring for this band? I mean, you're kind of like the gears that turn this whole operation, right?
Yeah, I write the songs. Usually, with this band, I'll come to practice and I'll have the the bones of the songs. So I'll have the lyrics and the chord structure, and I'll play the song, and then Brendan adds drums and Trey adds his bass and Andy plays piano, and we just all keep adding to the song, and and so in that way we're working on these songs as a band, but I've with this project I've really wanted to focus on improving my lyrics, and and the songs can be wordy, and
Yeah, bona fide songwriter, for real.
Oh, yeah.
Got a huge catalog of songs we haven't even touched or heard yet.
So, did this start off as your solo project, or has it always been a band? Like, how did this whole thing begin? What was the inception?
Yeah, the Blood at Ease began. Brendan and I started tracking some songs I had written in 2022, and so for the first year, this project was really just Brendan and I recording these songs, and on our album, The Holes That House the Seeds, there are, I believe, 7 or 8 people who play on that record, including Brendan, Trey, and I. And then after that album was tracked, we invited Trey to play with us, and we performed as a trio for a while, and then Andy joined us, and then eventually Ruggles, and we've been playing as a 5-piece for a little over a year now.
Mm-hmm.
Right on. So, everybody brings their whole own little flavor, and yeah. So, how long have you been together as a band, did you say?
The 5 of us have been playing for a little over a year now, and Brendan, Trey, and I have been performing as Blood at Ease for about 2 years now.
Yeah.
So you say that in this project you're focusing more on your lyricism. So was that not as much of a focus for you in previous projects? Or so have you had a lot of like poetry and stuff like that backlogged? Or what sort of made you want to switch your focus for this project specifically?
Yeah, I think with my first band, we were playing a lot of house shows, and so I would try to write songs that I thought would sound good in the basement. And I was writing songs with the idea that like with the band in mind and with the performance in mind. And then really like during lockdown, I worked on an acoustic album, and I became really obsessed with Bob Dylan, and that really kickstarted this obsession with focusing more on like songs, and and I revisited a lot of artists who I really liked in high school, like Neil Young and Bruce Springsteen, and those artists I'm still obsessed with, but I took like deep dives into these artists, and I've been drawing from those artists to try to become a good songwriter.
And that's something that I think is so special about the Blood at Ease sound, is that it's not trying to mimic anything else, is that it's so different and unique. It's not like anything else you just go into a basement and see. I love that like modern folk vibe. And then what you say, like, is it Andy that's playing? You said like a slide guitar or a dulcimer?
Ruggles, he plays a steel
Ruggles.
guitar, a lap steel guitar.
Okay.
And then Andy plays piano, and I feel like once Andy joined the band, like our sound really started to take shape because his playing is so beautiful, and I love playing with everyone in the band, and I think having Andy's piano in the band, that started to make the songs stick out to me more.
Not enough pianos in basements, that's for sure. Need more.
And on some of the recorded songs, there's some like strings, right? Or at least I thought I heard like violin on some of them. So where is that? Is that just like a sample, or is that just like where's those coming from?
Yeah, on one of the songs on the album, Brendan and I drove out to Ashtamo and recorded this viola player, Josh Holcomb, and he plays on that record, and recording with him was a dream come true because his playing is so beautiful, and I'd always wanted to play with a string player, and that was a really special day recording with him, and we've been tracking a new album this summer, and our friend Angie from Spectral Snake is playing violin on this album, and that's really exciting. I'm excited for people to hear these new recordings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was great. He even like tuned down the viola half step to match Bailey's guitar, which probably classically you're not supposed to do that, but he was like, let's just spice some things up, and he's like, wow, it sounds so deep and interesting. It was really cool, and he's really talented. He tore it up.
And what song was that he plays on?
That song is called How to Swim.
It's a good one.
Oh yeah.
I woke up to that. I have an alarm clock radio, and trying to just not use my phone in the morning, and yeah, I literally woke up to that song one day, and I was like really confused, like, where am I? What is going on? And yeah, that was really cool.
Well, for context, it's WIDR on your radio, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because I know that, well, sometimes I'll just be listening to WIDR in the car, and I'm like, wow, that song is so familiar. Like, what is it? And then I will Shazam it, and then I'm like, oh wait, it's Blood at Ease. Okay.
Nice.
But yeah, no, that's great that you're listening. You're like, ooh, this is my radio time. It's the morning. It's my alarm. It's me.
Yeah.
It's my band. Whoa. I mean, I bet that's a pretty good feeling.
Yeah, it was cool. And like, just because I haven't heard it in a while, and so hearing it again, like, come through, is a tiny little radio speaker thing, but I was like, oh, it still sounds good. I can hear like the lyrics and stuff, and I was like, I did a good job.
All right. Well, every band that comes in here, I always have them compile a little playlist for me. So I think it's about time we get into some music, that time of the night. So first up, we have, I think it's Something on Your Mind by Karen Dalton, and then Amarillo Highway by Terry Allen. And you're listening to 89.1 WIDR FM. So we got Bailey and Brendan in the house. And I just wanted to ask you guys, after we played a couple songs there, some music, so what are some of your biggest musical influences? You know, like growing up, what did you always have on repeat on your iPod, you know?
Me first. I mean, I was like really into like Linkin Park, System of a Down, then got into weirder stuff like Mindless Self-Indulgence, then The Locust, then the Dillinger Escape Plan. So a lot of stuff like that. So, and none of those sound anything like Blood Eddies. but you know, I learned a whole new drumming style. It's been fun. But yeah, that's been my pivotal for me growing up.
When I was like 9 or 10, my mom got a Wii for my brother and I, and she got the Beatles rock band, and so that was like my introduction to music, and I became obsessed with the Beatles, and then I was like, asking for a guitar, and she bought this like $10 guitar on eBay, and the strings were like an inch off the fretboard, but that's what I learned to play on. So yeah, I was, I don't know, like 10, listening to the Beatles and a lot of classic rock stuff, and then I got really into blues music. When I was like 13, I was listening to like Robert Johnson and Muddy Waters, and then it was like every year in high school I would like go through a decade of music, and so then yeah. But at this point, Bob Dylan, Neil Young, and Joni Mitchell. I really like those artists.
Yeah. And I guess for like from a drummer perspective, I got really into Big Thief. They've been big for me. Yeah. And I think the style of that, I was like, sometimes I would struggle, like what do I used to, drum a lot of like fast stuff, like hardcore punk and stuff, but then I was like, what am I supposed to be doing during these songs? Like, am I doing enough? I'm doing too little. And so I would just like watch live videos of Big Thief and stuff, and like taking it in, like I don't know, I should probably learn his name, but I don't know his name. But watching him drum, it's just like just got to learn how to vibe and just like chill with everybody and give some direction to the energy. And yeah, but I think I feel like I came around to drum for this band and learned a lot. It's been cool.
Yeah, I'm sure that's been a little bit of a challenge, playing something different than what you mostly listen to, at least for you, Brendan. And then Bailey, I know that on the topic of Bob Dylan, you said that your thesis in college was on Bob Dylan, right? Because you went to Western.
I did, yeah. I graduated in April with a history degree, and my thesis was about Bob Dylan and the blues. Yeah, I got to visit the Bob Dylan Center in Tulsa to conduct research for the thesis, and that was really awesome.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Aren't they also making a new movie about Bob Dylan? Have you heard about that?
They are, yeah.
Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah, he's gonna play Bob Dylan. So.
Of course he is.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
How do you feel about that?
I'm really excited. Yeah, I think it'll be a fun movie. Dylan like wrote some of the script, and Like, there are parts of it that are just completely made up, but like Dylan made them up, and which is so much of Dylan's career. He's just made stuff up. Like, yeah.
Interesting.
Also, can we talk about the last two songs that you chose? Because I noticed that you didn't happen to mention Karen Dalton or Terry Allen. So, can you tell me a little bit why you chose those two to play tonight?
Yeah, the songs on this playlist, later on we'll play some songs that are by projects that are fronted by other members of Blood at Ease. But a lot of these songs are just songs that I've been kind of obsessed with this past year. And last fall, I was at a record store in Chicago, and they were playing this song, and I Shazammed it, and it was Karen Dalton. And so I went home and listened to the record, and yeah, and I love that song. And then Terry Allen I learned of because I really enjoyed Townes Van Zandt, and Terry Allen is a Texas country singer who was friends with Townes Van Zandt and the country music scene there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know either of these bands or people.
Brendan's like, I'm hearing them for the first time right now.
Good stuff. I like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you said Terry Allen, they're like a modern country artist, or?
He does still play. That song was from, I think, 1979. So he's older,
Okay.
and I think he's better known as a visual artist. He's a sculptor, and he has pieces in museums throughout the world.
Was music your first artistic outlet?
It was, yeah. Yeah, when I was a kid, like 10 years old, I got my first guitar, and yeah, and I have been obsessed with music ever since.
When did you start songwriting?
I started trying to write songs in high school, and yeah, I would say I didn't get like serious about songwriting until this band Blood at East started. Somewhat with Brendan and I were in a band before this called Ocean Floors, and I tried to write decent songs with that band, but I don't know. I feel like with this band, I think part of it too has just been playing with this group of musicians, because everyone in this band is a songwriter, and they're all musicians and songwriters who I admire, and so that feels really special, and it's an honor to play with all of them.
Yeah, it helps when you're also working with other driven artists and musicians, and when they have their own, I mean, everybody's coming into it from their own like angles, and they have their own influences. Like maybe you, Brendan, are not into like folk or country in the same way that you are, Bailey, but you are a songwriter in your own way and a musician who is driven to get better. And I think when you get a whole bunch of people in the same room who are just very talented, driven people, it's just a recipe for something beautiful.
Has been so far.
For sure, yeah.
I dabble in folk now, but it's going to be more and more as the years go on, I'm pretty sure.
I think too with this band, like the country and folk influences there, but I'm curious to know how many people have seen us and have thought of us as like a folk band, because we can be pretty loud and noisy at times.
Yeah, that's true. And yeah, I keep forgetting that like the influencers are the influences are different, but yeah, we do get pretty loud and wild sometimes. It's a lot of fun.
So, how would you describe the sound of Blood at Ease then? In your own words.
Yeah, that I don't know why that's always such a tricky question. I uh, I don't know. There's like indie rock influence, but genres are so muddled now.
Yeah, I told people loud Neil Young, but I don't know if that's even accurate. But I just needed something to say when people ask. We're not a metal band. People will see Blood in a band name. They're like, oh, yeah, hardcore, death metal. Like,
Mm-hmm.
no, we're just loud Neil Young.
Yeah, that can be misleading. I think when I first saw it, I was expecting something, more heavy. And then I was like, oh, wow, this is surprising. But in the best way. Because I think the first time I saw you was probably at Bell's.
Oh wow, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and like at some shows, like I'll be playing an electric guitar, and at others I'm playing an acoustic, and that's been fun with this project. Like changing instruments and also lineup. Like we played a show at the Sugar Bowl a couple months ago, and it was just Brendan, Jeremy, and I. And
Mm.
then we've played songs without Jeremy and or shows I mean, and then it's a special occasion when all five of us are available for a show.
Yeah. It's cool to have a lot of people, but scheduling, of course, and everybody has their own other projects and things going on. So, but when we do get to come together, it's pretty sweet.
You're listening to 89.1 WIDR FM,
WIDR FM.
your source for Radio Evolution. And this is Wombat Music taking you through the rabbit hole with
Blood at Ease.
Yay!
Brendan and Bailey, or you're Bailey.
Bailey and Brendan from Blood at Ease.
Brendan, Bailey and Brendan. You got it. Anywho. And you just heard Atlantic by the weather station and What Comes After Certainty by Bill Callahan. Alrighty. So, Bailey, can you tell us a little bit about those picks?
Yeah, Atlantic is from an album called Ignorance that came out a couple years ago by the weather station. And I was really excited to see today that the weather station will be coming to Bell's in April.
Nice.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And that album is about climate change and climate anxiety, and it's a really wonderful album. And then Bill Callahan, he's probably my favorite writer of modern times. And that song is just such a beautiful love song.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Some other great songwriters. I was kind of thinking about this as you were trying to describe your sound before the break. Has anybody told you guys that you might sound a little bit of like Death Cab for Cutie?
Oh
At
Yeah.
points, not all the time, but sometimes. Also, I feel like your voice just sounds a little bit like Ben Gibbard.
Yeah, that's the one I hear the most, I think. The most consistent one. And I think it is probably just mostly about the voice. But yeah. Yeah, I've definitely heard that before.
Yeah, I've heard that too, and I'm always surprised because I've if I were to name off 100 bands who have influenced me, they would be nowhere near that 100.
No. Well, I don't know. I think it also might just be the complexity of the songs too, and his lyricism as well. And when I listen to your music, it really does, make me feel something, and it tells a story, and it's something that can build over the course of a song. like, I mean, the first song off of, I mean, your album that's on Spotify, and the one that, you know, I love the most that I've heard that just gets in my head, Goliath, that
Yeah.
it's like it builds and it starts off kind of chill, but and at the end you're like, whoa, this is, it's crazy. And I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. We added, how many guitars are on that by the end of it? There's a lot of more and more guitar tracks as it goes, and just, yeah, that was fun to mix that one, just making it all fit.
A lot of layers.
Yeah.
Yeah, when Brendan and I were tracking that album, like the last song, Broken Hearts Like Spells, there are like 70
That one-
tracks on that song.
That one's crazy. Yeah, that we absolutely jam packed. There's trumpets. There's, you know, a number of guitars, bass. Were there any strings in that one?
There was a Mellotron.
Mellotron.
What is that?
Um,
Type of synthesizer, right? Yeah, that's all I was gonna say.
Yeah.
That's. It used to be like, was it like a toy, or like? It kind of looks like a toy, doesn't it? Yeah, but it's pretty cool actually. But they're really expensive now because they're all vintage and whatnot. But yeah, it sounds cool. I mean, we don't have a physical one, but you know, yeah, we use a little digital one. But yeah, that there's even like random like bass drops in there. It's just like, I think it was like 40 hertz of just straight 40 hertz, just like you can't even hear it. It just shakes you. It was so cool. But yeah, that song's too long for the radio. It's like 15 minutes long.
I'm pretty sure it still plays.
Yeah, if it's on there, you can catch it.
So, how do you think your music has changed, or your songwriting process has evolved since writing that album? I know that you said, how much music do you have backlogged?
yeah.
It's like 10 books or something. Like, what?
Yeah, I have like the next 5 Blood at Ease records written. The biggest change from Blood at Ease, like from my past projects to this project, has been like 100% of the time I write lyrics first now, and before I used to come up with chord structures and write the music before coming up with lyrics, and now I write the lyrics first, and my like productivity as a songwriter or whatever has increased a lot because I also like I try to write songs and write lyrics that stand on their own as poems, and you know, a lot of songs, you know, a lot of great lyrics might not look as great on a page if you're just reading them, because lyricism is a unique form of poetry in that way, because it's because you can read the lyrics, but really they're made to be sung and to be heard.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I'm totally the opposite of that too. With any song I've written, I will do whole songs. It'll be done front to back except for vocals and lyrics. I'm like, all right, now I gotta do this part. That's really cool.
Wow. So, you're pretty much set with music for the rest of your life now. I mean, you already have 5 albums, and you got to record all those. And by the time those are recorded, you'll have 10 more ready.
Yeah, the recording, that's the fun part and the challenging part, and but yeah, I look forward to that.
Hey, maybe AI will be sophisticated and you can just talk to a AI and be like, oh, I like the drums for this part to do this, and it'll be like
So true.
Then you put all 5 albums out in 1 year.
We're going to be the next King Gizzard.
So, oh yeah, no, they're so prolific. Oh, I mean, they just like pop out an album every other day. You look and you're like, oh, they got 3 since last night. um,
And Maya, that's one of your favorites, right?
they are, yeah. But so, what is your biggest inspiration when writing lyrics? Do you just kind of, get inspiration from all different sources, or where do you draw it from?
A lot of times, like one song will come from another song. Like I'll be obsessed with, um, for example, our song "Broken Hearts Like Spells" largely came from a song by Spiritualized called "Cop Shoot Cop," and it's like a 16-minute song, um, and I wanted to write a song like that, like long, but everything is essential in the song, and yeah. I think too that the Bill Callahan song that was played earlier, "What Comes After Certainty," there's the Big Thief song "Certainty," and I know Bill Callahan opened for Big Thief like a year or two ago, and I've wondered if that Bill Callahan song was like the inspiration for "Certainty" by Big Thief. So I feel like a lot of songwriters do that because that's like the folk tradition is taking songs and adapting them, writing new lines for them. A lot of Bob Dylan's early work, the melodies are taken from old folk songs, and he recycles lines a lot. My thesis was about the consciousness of verses, and particularly as it pertains to Bob Dylan and blues music, because in blues music, blues artists take from the same verses all the time, and like in the 30s, there would be like a lot of music scenes like or like in blues, like there's Mississippi blues and Chicago blues, and artists would be playing together and they would take each other's verses and come up with new lines within those verses, and so and that was going on during the folk revival in the 50s and 60s, and so I see like writing songs like there's a Pete Seeger quote about how like each songwriter is just like another link in a like long chain of folk singers, and we're just all sharing these songs together and adding to the consciousness of verses.
Like one big chain.
Interesting.
All right. Well, on that note, we are going to switch completely away from folk now, complete left field, to some Terry Tomato.
Oh my gosh.
Whoa. And next up we have Turbulence. And then Ninth Wave by Jeremy Ruggles.
It's so funny with this song. Bailey mentioned completely on his own. It was just like the they don't know you line that repeats throughout the song. I was like, that was like such a throwaway. Like I was like, I just feel like I just filled air with just whatever throwaway line I could think of. And he was like, that was like the coolest. Like I don't know, it meant a lot to you, that line. And I guess it does fit with the song. But I was like, in my mind, I was like. Like I felt embarrassed about it. Like I could have done something cooler there, but
WIDR FM.
WIDR FM.
Your source for radio evolution. And this is Wombat Music taking you through the rabbit hole with
Brendan from Blood at Ease
and Bailey from Blood at Ease.
Woo! All right. And we are deep in the rabbit hole now. All right. Okay, wanna tell us? I don't know about that Terry Tomato guy.
Hey, now.
What's that guy doing on here on the playlist? How do you get on here?
Yeah, I guess we're buds. Yeah, I do Cherry Tomato. That's my solo project, and I guess Bailey likes it, so that's cool. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I did put that on here before we confirmed that Brendan would be here with us today. But yeah, I wanted us to play some songs by projects that members of Blood at Ease are in, and Brendan is in a million bands.
As most drummers are.
Oh yeah, drummer problem. Hey, if anybody wants to join a band, learn how to drum one drum beat, and then people will just snatch you up.
Mm-hmm.
And Jeremy Ruggles, who plays steel guitar, he's been making music for a very long time, and yeah, and that song Ninth Wave is from his album The Pyramid is Circular, and I think it's very good.
Yeah, I haven't heard that one. That was really like a lot of like fun energy that came from that, and usually don't see that side of Jeremy very much. It was really cool.
Yeah, I really love that one. I also had no idea that he had his own solo thing, and will definitely be checking out some of his stuff for real. So, yeah, no, and also you don't see that instrument very often, like the lap steel. I know that we were just talking about like at the past show we had at our house this Friday, there was this band called Horace Whisper and the Empty Hand. They're like this cosmic cowboy kind of band, and it's not like a lap steel, but
pedal steel.
Yeah, pedal steel. And
huge, and it was like I felt like that was like a bucket list thing to have it in the basement. Like, all right, we did it. We had a pedal steel in a basement show. That was cool.
So there you go. All sorts of fun things. So another thing I wanted to ask you is, how do you interact with music on a daily basis? So, I know we're listening to music right here, and you can like play music with your band at practice, but how do you consume music?
When I work at a greenhouse, and so most days there I have an earbud in, and I'm usually listening to music. I also listen to a lot of like leftist podcasts and such, but yeah, and then also during our shipping seasons, I make a lot of deliveries, and so I'll drive to Chicago or Detroit or places in Indiana, and so I drive a lot, and so I listen to a lot of music in the car, and yeah, and then when I go home, I have a record collection, and so I like to wind down my night by putting on a record, and so I feel like I'm consuming music most hours of the day, and then with writing, I try to put aside time to write, and I like viewing writing as a job, and it's work, but it's fun work. It's work I want to do, and yeah.
Nice, yeah. That is like a lot more than probably anybody I know. Well, yeah, as for me, I got a new car on my birthday, because on my birthday my old car like gave out on me, so I got a new one, and it doesn't have a stereo, and I'm commuting to Battle Creek every work day, and yeah, sometimes I have my little Koss headphones that like sit on the ear, so I don't think it's like dangerous to drive with that, but I will listen to music on that sometimes. But yeah, I do not have a stereo, so I'm just like vibing on the highway, and sometimes at home when I'm doing chores I'll try to do a record, but we have it all there and it's all set up. I feel like we have a cool setup at the house, so Yeah, that's pretty much my extent of music.
Mhm. So Bailey, when you're listening to music, is it usually like a full album, or do you kind of like jump around? Like, oh, I got this like band I want to listen to. I listen to this song, and then I don't know. At least for me, I feel like I do have ADHD, and so I'll like jump around with music. Like I'll say I want to listen to an album, but then I'll end up hopping around to like 3 different ones. So, yeah.
I usually listen to full albums. I have a couple playlists that are really long that occasionally I'll put on with just songs, and so like all of the songs on this playlist come from another playlist I have just called Perfect, and they're all songs that I just think are perfect. And but yeah, like I usually prefer full albums, and especially live albums. I love listening to bootlegs, and especially um, uh, like on YouTube, I'll listen to like I've gone way down the rabbit hole with Bob Dylan, and I can like talk about different like specific tours, and like, oh, he had this arrangement of Shelter from the Storm in 1994 or whatever. But, so I feel like
Awesome.
too, like I usually become really obsessed with like a specific artist for a long period of time, and uh, yeah, I become like hyper fixated on one artist or one album.
Yeah, I am an album enjoyer too. It's mostly what I do. I tried building playlists, and basically the only one I really build is just called jams. And like, if I'm around like friends and like strangers, and we're, usually what I use for background music on the PA system, or if like we're all in a car, like, does it pass just hanging out in the car vibe check? Yeah, jams. That's basically the only playlist I do.
Hmm. And you just heard Roy by the Krellboynes.
Yeah,
Heck yeah.
yeah, that's our bass player Trey. That's his band. He plays bass and writes those songs. And the Krellboynes, way back in 2018, they were the first band I ever saw in Kalamazoo at Rupert's. I went to their album release show, and that was my introduction to the Kalamazoo music scene. Yeah.
Yeah, shout out Rupert's. It was that was the Strut before.
Yeah, it used to be the Strut.
Yeah, hear lots of crazy stories about the Strut, and only been there once, but yeah, it's cool. I wish I saw Foxy Shazam played there way back, and that would have been sweet to see. But yeah, I was not involved in anything here around then.
Wow. Oh, missed opportunity. I know. Too bad the Struts didn't play at the Strut. But yeah, well, great. Let's see. Oh yeah. Okay, I had a few more things for you, as we have a few more minutes here. So I wanted to ask you, what has been your favorite show that you've played so far?
Oh wow, that's tricky.
Or your favorite venue that you've played?
Yeah, we went to Marquette last summer and played at this festival up there called Lakenin Land. It's at a sculpture park, and that was a really fun show. We went up there and spent the weekend, and we camped out there, and um, yeah, it was just so much fun, and it was just a bunch of locals, and we had, I don't know, it was just a really special time, and that was a very fun show.
Yeah, it was a random connection through your dad, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, that would probably be mine too. It was such a weird thing, and like it was so cool and fun. And that was my first time in the UP at all. And how long was that drive? It's like 8 hours or something.
9 hours.
9. Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, but they didn't really. I don't think they knew what they were in for, but a lot of people were into it because like they were just like local musicians doing like covers and stuff. And we did an hour set, right? We did an hour, and it was all original music, and they were like, "What? People do that?" Yeah, we did. I thought it was pretty good, and there was a huge bonfire, a bunch of sculptures. Got to camp outside. Uh, yeah, I met some weird people and some cool people. It's awesome.
Yeah, they had their own theme song.
Yeah.
There was
Did
this,
they?
yeah,
Oh,
there was
I wish I
this
remember her name.
this person who between every set she would sing this song, and it's like let's all go to the lake and
Yeah.
inland.
I don't remember any of the words. She would basically just talk about the things that you'd see around you in Lake and Inland.
Yeah. Um, the sculpture park is the person who runs it is Tom Likkonen, and he is an incredible person, and yeah. And then this summer, he sent us all like these books that he made about his sculptures, and had like little personal messages for all of us, thanking us for coming up there to play. And
That was really cool. And Maya, you just went there in June for the first. That was your first time there, right?
I did,
Yeah.
yeah. You told me about this mystical lake and land place when we were up in the UP, and I was like, we have to go, yes. There wasn't a music festival, unfortunately,
Yeah.
but it was still pretty cool. Yeah, just these like giant metal sculptures, and there was probably like at least 20 of them or something.
Probably.
Maybe
yeah,
even
maybe
more.
Mhm.
And you can interact with them as well. Like you can touch them, and I think that's something that is kind of unfortunate about a lot of art is that you can't touch it. You can go to an art museum and you can look at a painting, and that's fine and great. But with this sculpture park, is that you can look at this metal slot machine made out of used tractor parts, and you can actually like sit in the seat and like pull the lever, and I don't know, there's something very special about that. And then you became a part of the art too when you were there. I think they also had like a sculpture band. Hey, people outside, why do they have poles? I don't know. There were these strange men who walked past the studio, and they have sticks with
Little
maybe
torches.
candles, torches. Don't know where they're coming from. Don't know where they're going. Maybe they're walking to the UP. Yeah, I get distracted easily. Anyway, but do you have any upcoming shows?
Yeah, I'll be playing an acoustic set at Second Impact, which you two run, and that'll be going down on Friday. And there are a bunch of great singer-songwriters, and there will be a free Narcan training at 7.
It's gonna be a great time.
And in case anybody didn't know, Narcan, also known as naloxone, is a life-saving drug for people who are suffering from an opioid overdose. And so this training will be done at 7 by, I believe, Cope Network?
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, Cope Network. And Narcan will also be given out to anybody who is at this training, I believe. Yes.
Keep it on deck. I feel like a lot of people can think of someone who has died from like fentanyl and all that stuff, so this saves a bunch of lives.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I know some people who have died from opioid overdoses. Not to get morbid here, but it's a real thing that happens. And, it's just good to be aware of. But yeah, so at our house on Friday, Brendan and I's house, there'll be a show. And the wonderful Bailey, amongst many other beautiful people, will be playing. And it's going to get heartfelt and emotional. So, all right, I think it's about time we played our last song. So,
Well, thank you so much for having us here.
Yeah, this was fun. I decided I could make it 2 hours ago, but glad I did. This was great.
all right, well, this is perfect for the mood outside tonight, I think. And it's called Fallen Rain by Link Ray. You're listening to 89.1 WIDR FM, your source for radio evolution. And you just heard Fallen Rain by Link Ray. Also, thank you, Big Mac, for our fact check. Laken and Land is actually only 8 hours away.
Nice.
Not 9. So if you want to check out Laken and Land, there's a sculpture park and possibly another music festival coming your way in the summer eventually.
You better do another one.
that would be great. Yeah, you definitely should play another one. That'd be awesome.
For sure, yeah.
But do a whole different full hour set of original music.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you have like 5 albums worth unreleased, so. But there is one album that is released, which is
The Holes That House the Seeds.
yes, The Holes That House the Seeds, which is out on all streaming platforms. It was released like a year ago, right? 2023.
Yep.
So it's on Spotify, Apple Music. All right.
Bandcamp probably.
Yeah, hoping to have new music out soon. Self-titled album 2025.
Yeah, where did the name Blood at Ease come from? Last question.
Yeah, every project I've been in has been named after a song that I had recently written. And so when we were recording the songs that made up that album, The Holes That House the Seeds, I had written this song, and there was a line in it that contained the phrase "blood at ease," and it just like the lyrics flowed out, and I thought that line sounded nice, and it sounded like what I hoped the music would convey, because it sounds like heavy but also calm, and so yeah, it comes from that, and also it kind of reminds me of Blood on the Tracks, which is my favorite album.
Nice.
Just kind of stuck.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Bailey and Brendan, for coming on the show tonight.
Thanks again. This was great.
Yeah, thank you. We had so much fun.
Yeah. And after you have some new music out, we would love to have you back out and, maybe hear some more from the other members of your band.
Well, I gotta get busy on Terry Tomato then.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is Wombat Music, and that was Through the Rabbit Hole.